We use these little gadgets every day for absolutely everything. Actually, you may be watching me on one of these right now, but do you actually know how they are manufactured, how are they made, where they are made? Well then, today we travel to China and we will sneak into a factory to see the whole entire fabrication process for these devices. In order to do that, we must pack our bags and travel to the city of Shenzhen, the technological capital of China, as well as the base for most of China's factories. In other words, the vast majority of products that you may be seeing around you, practically all of them are manufactured in Shenzhen. So in order to get to Shenzhen, I took a flight straight to Hong Kong, a city that is very close to Shenzhen. And I could make a video explaining and detailing all the problems I had when I first landed in Hong Kong, as well as differences between Hong Kong and the rest of China. Basically, when I arrived at Hong Kong, my innocent self exchanged my euros for the currency used there, and also bought a cell phone and internet plan as soon as I landed to be able to be connected. The thing is, Hong Kong uses a different currency from the rest of China. In Hong Kong, you drive on the opposite side of the car, unlike China. Even the socket is different. Even the cell phone networks are different, which means that the internet plan I bought when I crossed the border into Shenzhen, as it was really close to Hong Kong, as I told you, but there's a border connecting the city to the rest of mainland China, my internet connection didn't work anymore. And when I took a cab, as soon as I crossed the Hong Kong border to get to Shenzhen, the currency I had exchanged didn't work either. So after many complications on the first day, I managed to arrive at the hotel and I was able to get some rest time for the next day, which was the big day where we would visit and get to know the whole fabrication process of a mobile phone. So the next morning I prepared my backpack and I put my Insta360 on my chest to record everything that was going on. And I asked directly for an Uber. But as Uber doesn't work in China, I ordered a Didi, which will be China's answer to Uber.
你好。
We were on our way in our Didi. The trip took us about 20 minutes, more or less, and I could see all the skyscrapers and all of the high-rise buildings in Shenzhen. Shenzhen is mainly a worker city, not particularly touristic, and it houses many companies and factories that manufacture absolutely everything that is going to be used in China and the rest of the world. And when I finally arrived, they came down to greet me at the Ulefone offices, the company we were going to visit. They came down from this grand building to pick me up, and we went straight to take a tour of their offices. I really liked the tour they gave me of their offices, as everything was very well segmented into different departments. The entrance was really pretty as well, really futuristic, and then they took me around all the departments housed in their offices, which covered the entire floor of that building. Once we finished the tour through those offices, they introduced me to the entire Ulefone team, some real tech whizzes, super nice. They presented me different new devices that they were working on at Ulefone, and we chatted for a little while. Once we finished the tour of the Ulefone offices, we were ready to tour the factory, but before that, we had to fill up our stomachs. We had to go and eat some good Chinese food, specifically Cantonese food. They took me to a spectacular place with typical Cantonese food, and its flavors were spectacular, most products having a sweet taste to it, and it was delicious. I honestly loved it all. It was an awesome experience. And now with our stomachs full and ready to go, we were able to face differently the visit to the factories. So we ordered another Didi, and in this case it took us really far away, as the factories, or where most factories are located, is in the outskirts of Shenzhen. They aren't located within downtown Shenzhen. Downtown usually is where the high-rises and offices are located, but the products are manufactured on the outskirts of town. As we arrived, we entered some kind of building, and we went to a second or third floor, and I don't know why I imagined it to be underground, but no, it was a second floor of a building. They also told me that the buildings nearby housed the factories of their main competitors, brands that all of us know very well. When entering the factory, the first thing they do is put on you some sort of suit that will prevent any dirt or filth from the outside from contaminating the labs where these devices are manufactured. So once we dressed up nice and dandy with these suits, we were ready to begin our adventure. Once we entered, we saw a huge place that was divided into different rooms, and each of these rooms corresponded to a different process in the manufacturing of a smartphone. We first started the tour from the warehouse, the area where they store all the parts, all the cameras, all the screens, all the bits assembled accordingly that will be used later to construct the devices. After that, we entered one of the main rooms, an enormous area with easily 100 people there, easily, and each of these lines had a specific process assigned to each of them. You can see that in the central part of the tables there is a sort of conveyor belt on which the devices move along. This is the speed at which all the workers must work. This is really cool, as it will will mark the speed and pace at which everyone works, because otherwise each worker would work at a different speed and each worker would make a different number of devices. However, with this conveyor belt marking the work pace, everybody follows the same pace and everybody will make the same amount of devices. In this first room, what most people were doing was create the phone structure itself, joining, for example, the motherboard, the cameras, and the different pieces that constitute a smartphone. For example, this machine is installing the screws within the device, and once again you can see that the conveyor belt is marking the pace, and this person is most likely in charge of taking the devices and putting them on the machine so that it can install the screws. This other machine is in charge of welding the frame of each device, so that they then can resist water and dust, as you are seeing they do now in this other machine, where they submerge the frames in water to see if the devices withstand and are able to gain their ingress protection code. Once the whole assembly process for the devices is completed, they must be sealed, completely sealed, to prevent further water or dust filtrations. This is done with the machine you are seeing now on screen. These are machines that exert lots of pressure on the devices, so that they remain completely fixed in place and completely sealed off so as to prevent water and dust from entering the phone. This is verified right after that on this other machine, where they take the devices and submerge them for a certain period of time to verify that no water filters into the devices. And once the whole assembly process is completed, right before taking them to packaging, they have to be tested, because they test all of these devices to verify that they work perfectly and have no defects. This is one of the parts I like the most, that most caught my attention, the way they check each of the phone's parts. You are now seeing how the ladies are checking the cameras. They actually do this with up to 4 devices at a time, and what they are looking at are small letters or figures that they focus on with the phone cameras to check that it looks alright and the focus is sharp. Then we entered another room. It was amazing, I had never seen anything like it. It had thousands of devices connected at once, and they were all playing hours of video footage. They leave them plugged in so that they don't run out of battery, obviously, and they keep on playing hours and hours of content to verify that they work correctly, that the screen works after a certain amount of hours, doesn't burst, doesn't turn off, and keeps on functioning correctly. After that, there's another room where they do the exact same thing, but they check the audio on the devices, and there's various people checking various devices, playing different types of content to verify the speakers on the devices work. And then we move on to another room, the most interesting one I believe, where they put these devices through the ringer to check they are truly durable. Most devices that are made in Ulefone are super resistant gadgets that are promised to withstand water and dust, of course, but also resist all manner of drops and all manner of hits. They check all of this out before shipping them off to our homes. We then met with this person that literally grabbed the devices, put them on this machine, and then the machine, boom, threw them super hard against the floor. It did this a bunch of times with the devices in different poses, throwing it on the side, on the other side, with the screen facing down, with the backside down, absolutely every possible position. Then we saw these machines that were throwing the devices down from very small distances. They repeated this movement, I don't know, 10-15,000 times. They threw the devices down from small heights a bunch of times to verify that they were resistant to those types of hits. We also saw a giant tube full of water with a bunch of devices at the bottom. This works to check that the devices can withstand the pressure of various meters underwater. And this next machine contains many smartphones inside, and it keeps on turning so that the phones keep on falling up and down for I don't know how many hours at a time to check that all those drops resist the impacts. And then we have these two machines that subject the devices to extreme temperatures. They literally are a furnace and a freezer. For example, they put the devices into this machine where they are subjected to minus 40 degrees Celsius to see how well they handle these extreme temperatures. And once they have put these devices through all possible types of testing and they can verify they truly are resistant and effective, it is time to pack the phones and put them in their cases. So they grab each device and pack each of these devices in their respective cases, the latter of which you know a few of already from the different videos we have made about Ulefone, and after that the machine you are seeing now puts a plastic wrapping over the phone so that we can later unbox it in our homes. Once the tour was completed, protocol stated that they had to check you with a metal detector to make sure you did not take anything with you. I understood this as there are thousands of workers at these factories and they put this protocol into effect to prevent people from taking anything at all. So this is the end of our visit to China, a truly crazy experience. Leave down in the comments what did you think of it? Did you imagine they were like this? A visit to a Chinese factory and a manufacturing process for these products? Leave me down in the comments what you guys thought of it and if you expected it to be like this or not. So that's it guys, thank you so much for watching the video, thank you so much to the Ulefone team for inviting me and for making this video possible. I'll see you next time, bye bye.